If you wake between 2 and 3 in the morning. If your mouth feels like sandpaper. If your heart races for no reason in the dark. If your legs feel like they ran a marathon while you slept. These are not random. These are not aging. These are symptoms. And they point to one organ. Your blood vessels are being coated in something that looks like syrup. Right now, while you watch this, blood sugar problems do not start with what you eat during the day. They start with what your liver does while you sleep. And for 8 hours every night, that malfunction causes 200% more damage to your blood vessels than anything you eat for dinner. The European Journal of Clinical Nutrition documented this. The damage accumulates in silence. Dr. Megan Foster, a metabolic health specialist with over 20 years of clinical experience, calls the liver the central command center of overnight blood sugar. She has treated thousands of patients. Watch the same pattern repeat. The same symptoms. The same overlooked cause. When was the last time you woke up and felt actually rested? Not functional. Not okay. Rested. If you cannot remember, keep watching. That 2 a.m. waking is not random. There is a specific hormonal event happening at that exact hour. An event that triggers your liver to do something counterproductive. We will dissect it in a moment. There is one drink. One. That Dr. Foster calls the liver reset button. But most people make it wrong. They are missing a single ingredient that makes the difference between a pleasant bedtime ritual and actual metabolic intervention. We will get to that exact protocol. First, you need to understand the scale of the problem. Because what is happening inside your blood vessels right now is worse than you think. The biological villain has a clinical name: hepatic glucose overrelease. Nighttime insulin resistance. But here is what it actually looks like. Your liver is a storage facility. It holds glucose. It releases it when your body needs fuel. That system works. Until it does not. Between 2 and 4 in the morning, your body triggers a cortisol surge. This is normal. It prepares you to wake up. But in a metabolically damaged body, that cortisol signal tells the liver to dump glucose into the bloodstream. Massive amounts. Erratic amounts. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin. But the cells are asleep. They are resistant. The glucose has nowhere to go. So it floats. It accumulates. It thickens your blood. And now your bloodstream is not flowing. It is sludging. Imagine the inside of your arteries. When they are healthy, blood moves through like water through a clean pipe. When overnight glucose spikes go unchecked, that blood becomes sticky. Viscous. Like syrup pushing through a narrowing tube. That syrup does not just slow down. It coats. The sugar molecules latch onto the proteins in your vessel walls. This process is called glycation. Think of it as caramelization. The same reaction that happens when you heat sugar in a pan. Except the pan is your artery. And the heat is your own body temperature. Over time, that coating hardens. The flexible vessel wall becomes stiff. Brittle. Like a rubber hose that has calcified into ceramic. 200%. Not 2. Not 20. 200. Let that number settle. That is the increased vascular damage from overnight spikes. Even when daytime numbers look normal. Dr. Foster has seen this pattern in thousands of patients. They come in with perfect A1C scores. Their doctors tell them they are fine. But A1C is an average. It does not show the overnight spikes. It misses the 8-hour destruction window entirely. University of Chicago researchers restricted healthy young adults to just 4 hours of sleep for 6 nights. Their insulin sensitivity dropped 25%. They were not diabetic. They were not old. They were healthy volunteers who simply did not sleep enough. And their metabolic systems started to fail. But the cortisol surge is not the only problem. There is something you are consuming every night that amplifies this damage. And it is sitting in your spice rack. Many people reach for cinnamon to help with blood sugar. And they are partially right. But there are 2 types of cinnamon. One of them is slowly poisoning the organ you are trying to protect. More on that after we reveal the protocol. The damage is clear. The mechanism is undeniable. Now the question becomes: can you reverse it? Can you clean the sludge that has been building for years? The answer is yes. But only if you know the exact protocol. Here is the drink that does it. The compound is curcumin, found in turmeric. But eaten alone, curcumin is nearly useless. The body barely absorbs it. This is where most people fail. They sprinkle turmeric into warm milk. They feel virtuous. And nothing happens. Add one compound, piperine, found in black pepper, and absorption jumps by 2,000%. That is not marketing. That is pharmacokinetics. Published in peer-reviewed journals. Diabetes Care. Clinical metabolic trials. This is not wellness culture. This is biochemistry. Dr. Foster says this is the only drink she recommends for overnight metabolic support. Not because it is exotic. Because in 20 years of practice, it is the one that shows up in patient outcomes over and over again. The protocol is specific. Half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. 1 pinch of black pepper. Half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. Mixed into warm milk or a milk alternative. Not boiling. Warm. The fats in milk aid absorption. Stir well. Curcumin does not dissolve easily. Timing is non-negotiable. 30 minutes before bed. This allows the compounds to reach the liver before the 2 to 4 a.m. cortisol surge. Black pepper is non-negotiable. Without piperine, curcumin passes through your system largely unused. The 2,000% absorption increase is the difference between a ritual and an intervention. Curcumin targets 4 pathways simultaneously. First, it reduces vascular inflammation, the irritation that makes sludge stick to your vessel walls. Second, it improves insulin sensitivity, so cells actually use the glucose instead of leaving it floating in your bloodstream. Third, it supports liver function, recalibrating the filtration plant so it stops dumping waste into the main lines. Fourth, it repairs gut lining, which reduces the inflammatory signals that trigger the liver and oppose erratic behavior in the first place. 4 mechanisms. 1 drink. But the protocol does not end there. For those who want to stack the effect, or who cannot access these specific ingredients, here are 3 supporting compounds that target different parts of the same system. Dandelion root tea. This targets the filtration plant directly. Sesquiterpene lactones stimulate bile flow and liver detoxification. They help the liver process stored glucose more efficiently, reducing erratic overnight release. The dosage: 1 cup. Steep for 10 to 15 minutes. Use high-quality loose leaf or fresh root for potency. Consume 1 to 2 hours before bed. Tart cherry concentrate. Unsweetened. The anthocyanins reduce vascular inflammation. Natural melatonin supports sleep architecture. Better sleep means lower cortisol. Lower cortisol means reduced liver glucose dumping. The dosage: 1 to 2 tablespoons of unsweetened concentrate mixed into water, or added directly to your golden milk base. Fenugreek and cinnamon infusion. Fenugreek contains saponins that slow gastric emptying. This prevents dinner glucose from spiking late. Ceylon cinnamon supports pancreatic beta cell health. Half a teaspoon of fenugreek powder steeped with Ceylon cinnamon. A traditional Middle Eastern protocol. Tart cherry concentrate may not be on your local shelf, but hibiscus tea, dried hibiscus petals, contains the same anthocyanin class. In South Asia, amla, Indian gooseberry, delivers identical antioxidant profiles. The mechanism is the same. The ingredient is flexible. How many of these do you already have in your kitchen? Because you might be 1 pinch of black pepper away from a completely different morning. Now the warnings. Sweetened tart cherry juice. The added sugar load cancels the metabolic benefits of the anthocyanins. You are pouring sludge into the system while trying to clean it. A pipe cleaner that leaves behind more residue than it removes. Cassia cinnamon. This is the cheap cinnamon. The one in most grocery stores. Let us talk about what the next 30 days could look like. Within 30 days of consistent use, the first thing patients report is sleep. Unbroken sleep. No 2 a.m. alarm from the body. Eyes opening naturally. No racing heart in the dark. No sandpaper mouth. Then the legs. Swinging out of bed and feeling them light. Responsive. Ready. Not filled with wet sand. Not stiff. Not heavy. Walking to the kitchen with a clear head. No fog. No delay between thought and action. Looking in the mirror and seeing sharper eyes. Reduced puffiness. A face that looks like it actually rested. Remember that 2 a.m. alarm your body kept setting. Imagine sleeping through it. Imagine your blood vessels repairing instead of corroding. That is not fantasy. That is physiology. Your body repairs itself every night. But only if the repair crew is not wading through toxic sludge. Clean the system. And healing becomes automatic. You do not have to be one of the statistics. Your arteries are listening. Your liver is waiting for instructions. The protocol is in your hands. But there is one more thing that triggers that cortisol spike. And it is not a drink. It is a habit. Something most people do in the hour before bed without realizing the cascade it starts. We will cover that in the next protocol. If this information shifted something for you, share it with someone who wakes up exhausted. Someone whose legs feel heavy every morning. Someone who thinks that is just getting older. It is not. And now you both know why.